Chapter 8. Anticipation. The next day it rained. All day the rain fell, crashing on the bush and pounding on the thatch. It ran in streams from the slanting roofs of the houses and made rivers of the unpaved streets. It was the hard rain, the manhache, the water the trees by to start new leaves. Tigre's family was all smiles. If we had waited for your uncle, father said, it would have been too late. We would have needed another 2 or 3 weeks of hot sun to dry out the field for burning. A number of the men in the village had not yet burned their fields. They looked at Tigre, envy mixed with admiration, as he passed on his way to school. Several stopped him to congratulate him on his burning. They say I am lucky, Tigre told his parents. I am a favorite with the Chaks, rain gods. We will have a good harvest, I think. I believe it, mother said. Do not boast, great-grandmother said sternly. When corn is not yet planted, how can you count ripe ears? Tigre was not worried. He felt capable of anything. The exaltation of the burning was still with him. Had not the wind gods come at his whistle? Had not the rain held off until his field was burned? The Chaks walked with him. They would see that the corn he planted grew ripe. There was nothing to do now in the milpa until May, when the rains would begin in earnest. After the first rain had softened the ground for sowing, men would plant the seed. In May, too, the village would have its fiesta for its Patron Santo's Day. May 3rd was the day of Holy Cross. Unfortunately, the orchestra which went from village to village had been engaged to play elsewhere that day, but it would come on the 4th. For 3 days there would be prayers and ceremonies in the church, feasting and dancing. People would come from all villages around, and on the very last day there would be a corrida, a bullfight for which the bulls would be rented or borrowed and not killed. The older boys, many of them for the first time, would be vaqueros, leading the bulls into the bullring. Already many of the boys were working on their ropes. At the dance the evening before the bullfight, the ropes would be judged. Tigre began to think about making a rope. I too will make a rope, he said to father. You are too young, father started to say. Then he stopped. Had not Tigre already taken on a man's responsibilities? Who was he, father, to say the boy should not enter the bullring? Great-grandmother gave Tigre a shrewd look, and he felt, as he always did, that her sharp, bright eyes were reading his thoughts, summing up all his faults. He had never been one to sit quietly and work with his fingers. I think we could arrange it, great-grandmother said to father. Only let it be a good rope, Tigre. Do not disgrace us with poor workmanship, and let it be finished if you begin. Father brought the sosquil, Canacoin fiber, from 2 boys who came from another village to sell it. He paid for it with one of mother's hens. All the fiber in the village was gone. Tigre started his rope eagerly. He twisted the fiber and rolled it against his leg. But in a few days his excitement faded. The rough hemp cut his fingers and blistered his palms. In his awkwardness, he tangled the cord frequently and had to undo it and begin again. For several weeks he did not work on it at all. The high winds held, and the village boys were making kites. Tigre made one, too, though not so elaborate as some. He was in too much of a hurry to take advantage of the wind and get his kite in the air. Then the father of one of the boys bought a bat from a traveling merchant, and for a week everyone, men and boys, played ball. The days were full of excitement. One day a yuk, a very small deer, ran through the plaza, and men and boys ran after it with wild shots until it was shot down. Tigre was sorry afterward. He remembered the yuk's eyes and the way its heart pounded and its breath came in great panting sighs. The animal had had no chance at all. It was different from hunting in the bush, where the deer had the protection of the zip, the minor gods who watched over them, and each man got such a little piece of meat, hardly worth the bother or the deer's pain. But during the few moments of the chase he had been as eager as anyone, his shouts as loud as the others. How is your rope coming, Tigre? Great-grandmother asked slyly. You have not forgotten, have you, that you asked to join the other boys in the bullring? It is coming, Tigre said, but he did not offer to show it. He had not worked on it for some time. He determined to start again the next morning and keep at it until it was finished.